Welcome to Nuggets of Thought. Imagine everything you've been taught about progress, reason, and truth crumbling right before your eyes. What if the Enlightenment, the age that promised to light the way, was actually casting the darkest shadow over human potential? Friedrich Nietzsche didn't just critique rationalism, he tore it apart, exposing its hidden dangers in 8 explosive ways that will make you question the very foundation of modern thought. Are we really moving forward, or are we trapped by logic, missing the wild, raw essence of life? Get ready, because Nietzsche's critiques will shake you to the core. Let's dive in. Number 1. Overemphasis on reason. Nietzsche critiques the Enlightenment's over-reliance on reason, asserting that rationalism excludes significant aspects of human life, such as emotions, instincts, and unconscious drives. Enlightenment thinkers promoted reason as the highest faculty, believing that it could solve all human problems and lead to progress. Nietzsche saw this as reductive, arguing that life is not fully captured by reason alone. Human existence is dynamic and chaotic, driven by irrational forces, instincts, and passions that cannot be fully understood or controlled by reason. Nietzsche believed that rationalism's obsession with order and coherence leads to an artificial view of life, ignoring its more creative, chaotic elements. He saw life as something to be lived and experienced fully, including its irrational and instinctual sides. For Nietzsche, rationalism suppresses these vital forces, leading to a sterile and impoverished existence that denies life's true complexity. Nietzsche believed that overvaluing reason stifles human potential by neglecting vital aspects of life like emotion, creativity, and instinct. He argued that pure rationality leads to a shallow, restricted existence. For Nietzsche, true fulfillment comes from balancing reason with the will to power, the drive for self-overcoming and personal growth. By embracing both intellect and instinct, individuals can achieve a more authentic and dynamic existence, free from the limitations imposed by society's obsession with rational thought alone. Number 2. Repression of instincts and emotions. Nietzsche critiqued the Enlightenment for its repression of instincts and emotions, seeing this as a denial of the fundamental forces that make life vibrant and creative. Enlightenment thinkers elevated reason as the guiding principle, often dismissing emotions and instincts as irrational and primitive. Nietzsche believed that this repression stifled human potential and disconnected individuals from the raw energy that fuels action and creativity. He argued that emotions and instincts are not just irrational drives to be controlled or suppressed, but essential aspects of human nature that provide meaning and vitality. Rationalism, in Nietzsche's view, reduces life to cold logic and intellectual abstractions, stripping away the richness and depth that come from fully embracing human desires, passions, and instincts. Nietzsche's critique of the repression of instincts and emotions concludes that rationalism limits human experience by devaluing the non-rational aspects of life. He believed that emotions and instincts are essential to living a full and authentic life, and that their suppression leads to alienation and a loss of vitality. Nietzsche saw rationalism's elevation of reason as unnatural and harmful, arguing that individuals must embrace their emotional and instinctual sides to truly flourish. For Nietzsche, a balanced existence includes both rational thought and the raw energy of instincts and emotions, allowing for a richer, more fulfilling life. Number 3. Socratic optimism. Nietzsche's critique of Socratic optimism targets the Enlightenment's belief that reason and knowledge inevitably lead to moral improvement and a better life. Socratic optimism, inherited by Enlightenment thinkers, posits that knowledge of the truth leads to virtuous behavior, and that reason can resolve all of life's problems. Nietzsche rejected this view, arguing that life is far more chaotic, irrational, and complex than reason can account for. He believed that people are driven by unconscious forces, instincts, and emotions that reason cannot control or fully comprehend. Socratic optimism, in Nietzsche's view, overemphasizes the power of reason and overlooks the darker, more irrational aspects of existence. By relying on reason to achieve moral improvement, Enlightenment rationalism fails to address the full complexity of human nature. Nietzsche's critique of Socratic optimism concludes that reason alone cannot lead to moral improvement or solve life's complexities. He believed that human existence is shaped by irrational forces, and that an overemphasis on reason ignores these fundamental aspects of life. Nietzsche rejected the Enlightenment's optimistic belief in the power of knowledge to bring about virtue, arguing that life is far too chaotic and unpredictable for reason to fully comprehend. For Nietzsche, living authentically requires acknowledging both the rational and irrational dimensions of existence, rather than relying solely on reason to guide human behavior. Number 4. Critique of abstract systems. Nietzsche critiqued the Enlightenment's creation of abstract systems, such as Kantian ethics or Cartesian dualism, for their attempt to impose rigid intellectual structures on the chaos of reality. These systems seek to categorize and explain life through reason and logic, but Nietzsche saw them as artificial and disconnected from lived experience. He argued that life is too dynamic, chaotic, and unpredictable to be captured by such rigid abstract systems. For Nietzsche, these systems alienate individuals from the true instinctual and emotional aspects of life, reducing existence to intellectual abstractions. He believed that abstract systems simplify reality and fail to engage with the richness and depth of human experience, which includes irrational and chaotic forces that resist categorization. Nietzsche's critique of abstract systems concludes that life cannot be fully captured by rigid intellectual frameworks. He believed that these systems, by imposing order on chaos, oversimplify the complexity of human existence and alienate individuals from the richness of life. Nietzsche argued that reality is dynamic and chaotic, and any attempt to reduce it to abstract concepts leads to a shallow and disconnected understanding of life. For Nietzsche, true understanding and fulfillment come from embracing life's unpredictability rather than imposing rigid intellectual structures on it. Number 5. Rationalism as a path to nihilism. Nietzsche argued that Enlightenment rationalism, in its rejection of traditional religious and metaphysical systems, inadvertently paved the way for nihilism. The belief that life lacks inherent meaning or value. Rationalism dismantled the old religious frameworks that had provided meaning and moral guidance for centuries, but failed to replace them with new values. Nietzsche saw this as creating a moral vacuum, where individuals are left without purpose or direction in a seemingly meaningless universe. Rationalism's reduction of life to mere logical and scientific analysis strips existence of its mystery and deeper meaning, leaving people disillusioned. Nietzsche believed that this state of nihilism arises when traditional values are destroyed without being replaced, leading to a sense of purposelessness and despair. Nietzsche's critique of rationalism as a path to nihilism concludes that the Enlightenment's rejection of traditional values, without offering new ones, leaves individuals in a state of existential crisis. By reducing life to rational analysis, rationalism strips away deeper meaning and purpose, leading to nihilism. Nietzsche saw this as an opportunity for individuals to create new values through the will to power, rather than succumbing to despair. For Nietzsche, overcoming nihilism requires the creation of life-affirming values that embrace the chaos and unpredictability of existence, rather than relying on outdated metaphysical or religious systems. Number 6. Failure of universal truths. Nietzsche critiqued the Enlightenment's pursuit of universal truths, arguing that all knowledge is subjective and perspectival, Enlightenment thinkers believed that reason could lead to objective, universal truths that apply to all people, regardless of their individual circumstances. Nietzsche rejected this notion, claiming that there is no single, objective truth that exists independently of human interpretation. For Nietzsche, all truths are shaped by the observer's context, experiences, and will to power. He believed that the Enlightenment's quest for universal truths was misguided, as it ignored the diverse, fluid, and subjective nature of human knowledge. Instead of seeking absolute, unchanging truths, Nietzsche embraced the idea that knowledge is always perspectival and dynamic. Nietzsche's critique of universal truths concludes that there is no objective, universal truth that exists outside of human interpretation. He believed that all knowledge is shaped by perspective, and that the Enlightenment's pursuit of universal truths was misguided. For Nietzsche, truth is always fluid and subjective, and attempts to impose a single, universal framework on knowledge lead to a distorted understanding of reality. He argued that embracing the multiplicity of perspectives allows for a more authentic and dynamic engagement with the world, rather than seeking rigid absolute truth. Number 7. Critique of moral universalism. Nietzsche critiqued the Enlightenment's belief in moral universalism, the idea that reason can deduce universal moral principles that apply to all people. Enlightenment thinkers like Kant sought to create a rational, universal ethical system that transcended cultural and individual differences. Nietzsche rejected this, arguing that morality is not objective or universal, but is shaped by historical, cultural, and individual conditions. Nietzsche believed that morality is a product of the will to power, with different moral systems reflecting the values and desires of those who create them. He argued that moral universalism imposes a single moral framework on diverse human experiences, suppressing individuality and cultural differences. Nietzsche's critique of moral universalism concludes that morality is not universal, but is shaped by individual and cultural contexts. He believed that Enlightenment rationalism's attempt to create universal moral principles suppresses the diversity and complexity of human experiences. For Nietzsche, morality is an expression of the will to power and should be created by individuals based on their unique perspectives and desires. He rejected the idea that reason can provide universal moral laws, instead advocating for a more fluid, individualized approach to ethics. Number 8. Critique of progress and Enlightenment's faith in reason. Nietzsche critiqued the Enlightenment's faith in progress, arguing that reason does not necessarily lead to human improvement or progress. Enlightenment thinkers believed that rational thought, scientific advancements, and social reforms would lead to a better, more enlightened world. Nietzsche rejected this, arguing that history shows no inherent progression toward betterment or moral improvement. For Nietzsche, the idea of progress is a modern myth that assumes humanity is moving toward a specific goal, such as moral or intellectual perfection. He believed that human nature is fundamentally chaotic and irrational, and that reason cannot overcome this. Nietzsche saw the Enlightenment's belief in progress as a dangerous illusion that distracts people from the more fundamental and darker aspects of existence. Nietzsche's critique of progress concludes that the Enlightenment's faith in reason and human improvement is misguided. He believed that history shows no linear path toward progress, and that the idea of progress is a modern myth that fails to account for the chaotic and irrational nature of human life. Nietzsche argued that reason alone cannot lead to human betterment, and that Enlightenment rationalism's belief in progress overlooks the darker, more complex aspects of existence. For Nietzsche, true human flourishing comes from embracing life's chaos and unpredictability, rather than relying on reason to bring about progress. And that's it for Nietzsche's 8 mind-bending critiques of rationalism and Enlightenment. But remember, the real challenge begins now. Are you ready to step beyond the limits of logic and embrace the deeper, chaotic truths of existence? If today's dive into Nietzsche shook your worldview, there's so much more to explore. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with anyone who's ready to question everything they've ever known. Stay tuned to Nuggets of Thought, where every episode is a step closer to unraveling the mysteries of philosophy and the human experience. Until next time, keep thinking deeper.